coming in right now to
Bring our guest in.
Jim Norton and Sam Roberts here. There we go.
Hi.
There she is, Nancy Grace.
Thank you for having me.
Hello.
Thank you for being here, Nancy. Welcome to Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
And that would be.
I'm Jim.
That's Jim Norton and I'm Sam Roberts.
Speaks.
Yes, he does.
We're live. How are you this morning? You all right? You good?
I'm happy to be here.
You are.
Yeah.
You're. How do you feel about leaving HLN? Because you've been there for what, 12 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It's bittersweet. I know that's a cliche, but it really is because I never dreamed growing up on a red dirt road in the middle of nowhere, as some people would say, that I would ever have a show on HLN. So it was beyond anything I'd ever really dreamed of.
Did they ask you to leave or did you want to leave?
I wouldn't say that I wanted to leave. I felt like it was the right time for me to leave because I'm leaving behind a lot, but I'm going to where I want to go.
And I'll be honest, I had a problem with you for a long time because I felt like you were capitalizing on tragedies. And I'm sure you were accused of that before. Were you capitalizing on this stuff?
As a crime victim myself, I guess it's the way you look at the world. I invite crime victims on and tell stories from their point of view. I help find missing people and help solve unsolved homicides. Now, from your point of view, you would say that any news report, say on ISIS or the hurricane or car crash, air crash victims is all capitalizing on misery. So that you're singling out my shows, interesting, but I think inaccurate.
I know what you mean, but I wouldn't say that just reporting on it because it's fair. You have to do it. Victim advocacy for victims is important. All that stuff is good. What I'm saying is things like the hashtags like Tot Mom or Pot for Tot or whatever. Those are beyond just, hey, I'm reporting this and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. It's almost like I'm making this kind of a catchy thing so people associate me with it.
Because hashtags cannot be sentences. And I don't know if you're familiar with digital media, but you can't have a
You blocked me on Twitter.
that is over a few words long.
Right.
So what we tried to do is take a story. And I brought this really from my law school days where I would have to condense a very difficult and convoluted case into something simple and did with juries to break down complicated and convoluted facts and give it to them 1, 2, 3. That's how I look at cases. I usually come up with a moniker. And for whatever case it is, it could be the scenario, it could be the defendant, and that's what I call it. Oh, the Army mom. Oh, the Ohio serial killer. Like that. That's how I identify cases.
Could you see that though, like hashtag baby and dryer could be looked at as trivializing something that would otherwise be tragic?
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
Right. But you don't see it that way.
No.
And the Duke, we have to ask you about the Duke rape case because look, I thought those guys were probably guilty too. When I first saw it, it didn't look good. But then you went after them pretty hard, and then Mike Nifon got, I guess he was disbarred, and you didn't, or did you come on and clear it up? And I just thought it was.
Well, if you read the transcripts before you asked me the question, you would know that there was no point that I ever said these guys are guilty. Although it's been commonly and very happily portrayed that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when one of the accused came forward and gave a statement and spoke to the press and may have even answered questions, but when he spoke to the press, the camera came to me and I said, that is the state's worst nightmare because I think that guy's telling the truth. He looks like he's telling the truth. Now, you left that out of your scenario.
Well, I asked
which
you
I
about,
completely understand.
but I asked you about it. I didn't leave it out purposely. I didn't know it. So I asked you.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, how about this? You did get sued and lose. If you want to paint it that way, you
Sued and lose what?
Didn't you lose to Michael Skakel for or have to settle that?
I can't give the result, but I would not consider that a loss.
But it was settled.
By CNN, yes.
Okay. Well, then I have to ask you that. I mean,
And I would like to point out that Michael Skakel was found guilty of murder by a jury.
yes, he was.
And that on our show, a reporter said there was DNA on the scene. And the lawsuit was not about whether he was guilty or innocent. It was about, was there DNA
Yeah,
on the scene?
I know. It
So-
was not about his guilt or innocence. He was
Right.
found guilty. I know
of
that.
the murder of a
Martha
15-year-old
Moxley, yes,
girl,
I
Martha
know.
Moxley.
Is there
Yeah.
anything that you regret the way you did cover? Like, is there any, like, looking back, do you go, you know what? I was wrong about that, or I fought too hard on this side and I ended up being wrong, or I was presenting all this evidence that didn't actually fit the case at the end of the day? On television, of course, I'm talking about.
No, not that I know of yet. But I haven't really had time to reflect back.
On everything.
Yeah.
You took a lot of heat, too, for the report that you did on, remember when the Ultimate Warrior died? And you brought on DDP, the wrestler, and you were talking about wrestlers dying of steroids and drug overdoses and things like that, when steroids weren't involved in the Ultimate Warrior's death.
No, they were not.
And on the people that you listed a whole bunch of wrestlers that had died before they were 40. And some of the wrestlers that you listed, one of them had fallen from the ceiling. One of them had been shot. Like, there were all these guys, all these names.
Oh, I don't think it was ever said that those guys died from steroid overdose.
No, but you said that there's you said
Early deaths
you established the
and untimely deaths.
but you
in the
established the
wrestling industry.
argument that there's drug abuse and steroids. Then you said,
Yep.
here is a list of wrestlers that died young. So you didn't say that's why they died.
I really
Argument being-
believe that professional wrestlers are not protected. I think that everybody gets a big kick out of watching them.
Mm-hmm.
And whether the wrestling is real or not,
Mm-hmm.
people love watching it. And I think that those wrestlers, those women and men that go in the ring, are not protected. I don't think anybody is ever looking out for them. And I think that they're used badly.
So if that was your intention, and, you know, of course I can believe you on that, you're telling me that, what goes through your mind when a lot of wrestlers see your report and come back at you with venom saying, you're not representing us, you're not telling our story, and this what you're portraying isn't what's happening? Because that's the way
Then I'm sorry they feel that way.
most wrestlers responded. And that's, I mean, the wrestlers that were on your show, you know, Diamond Dallas Page, who was on your show, was furious. I don't know if you remember about,
I do remember.
you know, coming on your show.
And
He said
I
he
thought
came on
he
false
was
pretenses.
a
And,
perfect gentleman. He could not have been nicer. And I don't want him to feel bad. And I feel bad that he feels bad.
Mhm.
But the fact remains that in the wrestling industry, there is a very high occurrence of untimely deaths for a lot of different reasons. And I feel that it's the industry's fault.
Mhm.
I don't think these guys and women, but mostly guys, are the ones dying inordinately young. I don't think that they are told all the risks of what they're getting into.
So when the people that you advocate for, when you're saying this, like this is your intention to advocate for these people, when the people that you're advocating for come to you and say, we don't need you doing that for us, we don't like what you're doing, don't do it.
I've rarely had that happen.
It happened in this case.
Yes, it did with that wrestler. He did not like the way the
And I mean,
show went.
And most wrestlers that watch that,
I
especially like,
disagree with you.
I mean, I talk to wrestlers all the time.
I know you talk to wrestlers all the time, and you have talked to several wrestlers that said that.
Right.
But that does not mean most wrestlers. So
A
the
huge
fact
amount.
that you have talked to some wrestlers that said that,
Right.
I hear you. I respect that. And I'm sorry they feel that way.
But
I really don't know what else you want me to say.
But you're not, don't you, like you mentioned the news tie-in. And again, there's a weird line with public service and reporting something, and when it becomes, hey, this is the thing that I can associate myself with, and you know, you're kind of denying that fact.
Okay, let me just set it straight right now. I'm sorry that you guys clearly don't like what I do. I feel bad about it. So, there. You obviously don't like me. That's okay. So, I'm okay with my show, and I'm okay with representing crime victims. And it's like the two of you are just so anxious to like throw a shot at me. That's okay
It's
too.
not, no, Nancy. It's not
But
throwing
what
a
I'm
shot at
telling
you.
you
It's
is,
not.
as I was saying
not throwing a shot at
before
you.
you interrupted.
But it's not. But you're saying something inaccurate. I'm not throwing a shot at you.
Don't mind. And I'm sorry the wrestlers feel that way. But the truth is that a huge amount of wrestlers die at a young age for a lot of different reasons. And that is what that screen was for. Now, if you or somebody else interpreted it a different way, I feel bad about that.
So no one's throwing a shot at you when saying that.
It's okay. Don't worry about
No,
it.
I'm not worried
You
about it. But
haven't
I'm
asked
saying
one decent question since I walked in here. Everything both of you have asked has been an attack.
not an
that's
attack.
okay.
There are questions. There are things that people see. Now you can't. Now you're so used to victim advocacy. I should probably get advocacy out. But you're feeling like a victim because we're asking you
No, I
questions.
don't feel like a victim.
Well, but we're
At
not
all.
attacking you. We're not attacking
And
you.
they are
Okay.
And
I
they are
asked you a
decent
question.
questions because
Okay.
people care.
Yeah.
I mean, these are things that people talk about and don't necessarily get the chance to talk to you about. So to say they're not decent questions, I don't know if that's wholly
I
accurate.
don't think they really care about.
That's
the
not
victim
true. We're gonna. I actually
No, you
watched.
should
I watched
absolutely-
I watched your clips last night. You're playing an attorney. I will promote what you're here to promote.
Absolutely.
It's called Haley Dean Mystery Murder with Love, and it premieres Sunday, October the 23rd on Hallmark at 9 p.m. It was a scene with you playing. It's kind of like a Gloria Allred type attorney, it seems, and it was good. What I saw was good. I watched it last night. We only got 3 clips, and that was what I saw.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. But I mean, don't feel
Parting
attacked.
shot.
We're not-
Anybody?
no
Bring it on.
There's no parting shot.
Yeah.
It's fair for someone to say to you.
It is fair, but it would also be fair if you had a different question other than an attack. But you know what? Again,
Nancy,
I
you've made
faced a lot worse
you
than
see,
you
at the end,
do.
this no one says you haven't faced worse, and no one is saying that you. We're
do
not
you have
attacking
any
you.
more questions?
How do you justify latching on to all of these hashtags and things without saying that you are capitalizing on dead kids?
So you're back to your first question.
Yes,
Okay.
but I would like a
I'll
more
answer-
honest answer. As a
I'll
prosecutor,
give
you should know
another
that
honest answer.
people bullshit.
And the answer is my program is to help solve unsolved homicides and find missing people, which we have done. Now, if you don't like that and you don't like the way I do it, then don't watch it.
I
okay?
like what the answer you just
Oops.
gave.
I think our time is up. Bye bye.
Take care. You can leave if you want. Don't worry, we're not going to kill ourselves after the interview.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Nancy,
You're welcome.
for stopping by.
That went better than I thought it would.
I didn't get to ask her
Bye.
about Titty Boy. 2 Chains.
Oh.
Nancy Grace, ladies and gentlemen.
You
Nancy
know,
Grace.
hold on for the interview. Now listen.